And welcome again to another episode of Signatures with Maria. We're so excited today. We have the Porterfields and Stop the Bleeding. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Bishop.
God bless you.
You all are looking mighty sharp today.
Lord Jesus.
Glory to God. Praise God.
Yes.
It's good to be looking good. We feel good.
You feel good, you
Yes,
look
ma'am.
good. I think there must be some Jesus around because that's just
yes.
the essence of good,
Glory
right?
to God.
Yes.
That's right.
Amen.
For sure.
Well, I understand that you all are doing some pretty marvelous things here in the city, in this region. Talk to me about where are you from? Bishop, where are you
We
from?
had that conversation,
Who
but
are-
we'll go there.
Who are you and who are the Porterfields?
I'll let
Bishop is from everywhere, so I'm not from everywhere. I am a native New Yorker.
All right.
I was born in New York, raised in New York. I am from Long Island, Westbury,
All right.
New York, Long Island.
Yay.
And I grew up there. My mom raised me in the Nassau County School District.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the principal of the school, every school that I ever went to, I was a menace to society.
Oh boy.
I was one of those students that was
So
a
you can't leave
troubled
out Mount Vernon
child.
then.
I was a troubled child. And
You
yes,
were a
ma'am.
troubled child?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go
Yes,
ahead. Go ahead with the
I
story.
was a troubled child, and it even got to the point in grade school, right up into high school, up until 10th grade, I was kicked out of the school system, where now I can't even attend any of the disciplinarian schools. I can't even go to
Wait.
BOCES now. I can't even, I'm expelled from the school system. It's totally shut down for me, and had to be forced to go and live with an older sister. Thank God for older sisters.
Amen. Thank God for my older sister.
Thank God for older sisters who have vision,
Mm-hmm.
who have an understanding of who you are. It's always good to be around people who know who you are.
Absolutely.
When you don't know who you are, when you can't see your destiny and your future, that there are people that are around you that can see.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister was a pastor's wife, her and her husband. I went to go live with them. My mother was on a serious, she was executing a serious plan to make sure that I didn't fail.
Amen.
And I thank God
Oh, my
for my mother.
goodness.
Yes.
Thank
I
God for
thank
people who love you.
God for my mother.
Mothers are awesome.
Because if it was not for my mother, who saw down the line, that's why it's so important that you have mothers in your life who understand who you are and not paying attention to all
What you're doing.
Come on, come on. My mother never, regardless of how many times they put me out of school,
Wow.
regardless of times how I was expelled from school, my mother allowed me to still, she sent me to Mount Vernon, New York, where I had to double up.
Because you were behind now.
Because I was way behind.
Wow.
So I had to double up. I went to school there, Mount Vernon High School, and I finished and I graduated with honors.
Amen.
From Mount Vernon High School. And that was where my life took a turn.
Started changing.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
a great turning. I was in a turn in my life. And I was under the instruction of Pastor Carlton C. Sproul of the great Allen Memorial Church of God in Christ, which is one of the historic churches.
I was about to say
in
Church of
Mount
God
Vernon.
and Church of God in Christ in
Absolutely.
general.
Absolutely. And I just thank
Koji.
God for Koji.
Koji.
I thank God for my rearings. I thank God
Amen.
for my teachings, my trainings. All of my teachings and training, it came from when I was a youngster. So I thank God, and that was the beginning of my encounter with God, when I began to find out who I was, when I began to evolve and become a believer, because that's where it started, what I believed. And so, even this is just a message to some mother who may be disappointed or who may feel like giving up on their child, that when you bring them to church, not when you send them to church,
Right.
but when you bring them to church as a family, that's a seed. The Bible declares to train up a child in the way that they should go. They may not go that way. They may not go the way that it has been assigned, but when you train them up in the way that they should go, at some point that seed is going to at some point to begin to be watered. And I thank God for the seed that was planted, and I thank God for the one that came along and watered the seed, which
Yes.
was Pastor Carlton C. Sproul. And I just thank God,
Amen.
and even for my sister, First Lady Denise Sproul. I just thank God for them and for the ministry that was, I guess, discovered way back then. And then, my life went on. I went on to the State University of Purchase, and which is it's an art school, which is notable for their arts. I went to school with Wesley Snipes.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very exciting, very exciting. But those were my times of learning. Those were my times of shaping. When, there were different places that the Lord allowed me to go. It's all playing a part in my ministry right now.
Who you're becoming.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then I got married. I had children. Got divorced. Got divorced. Was married for 17 years.
Wow.
And had 3 children from that marriage, and thought it was over for me. I thought it was over for me. I didn't think anybody was going to want me. And actually, I wasn't looking for anybody.
Right.
I was busy gleaning in the field. I was very, very focused on the things of God. I was very focused.
Amen.
As a single woman. I was perfecting my singleness, and I was focused on prayer. I was focused on. I was serving in on the choir. I was the choir directress. I was an usher.
You sing?
Yes, I sing. Yes, I directed the choir.
Because she happy. No.
I directed the choir. I was YPWW.
Oh,
I was the
my
assistant
goodness.
Sunday school teacher. I served in every capacity of ministry.
So let me just stop you here. That is speaking to the single woman.
Absolutely.
Who is saying, will I ever get married?
Absolutely.
What you need to do is just remain focused.
That's right.
Stay in the field and do what you know to do right.
Absolutely.
That's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
And let him find you.
That's right.
Okay, so go ahead.
So after that, I was divorced.
All right.
That didn't work out. So I was just, focusing on God. And, one day in church, I saw one of the elders who I never really looked at him as, and this is me being honest, I never really looked at my husband like, oh wow, he's really cute. Really, because I just was somewhere else after being married for 17 years and going
divorced.
through, going through abuse,
Right.
verbal abuse, physical abuse, and all type of scrutiny. I was not there.
Right.
I just wasn't there, and I just wanted what God had for me. I wanted the will of God to be done in my life. And that was the most important thing. And I did not want all of these different men coming in and out of my life. It was not healthy
That's
for my
very
daughter.
good. That's very
It was
good.
not healthy for my sons.
That's
And
exactly
I
what
just
I said.
needed someone that was assigned to me, someone that understood my destiny,
Correct.
someone that understood and would be committed to my children.
That's important.
So I wasn't looking. I was busy doing ministry. When I saw, at the time, he was just Elder Porterfield. He was just Elder Porterfield, and
He
I
wasn't bishop yet.
No, ma'am, he was not bishop yet, and I just honored him in the position and the role that he played in ministry, because he was on the front line of ministry. He was the assistant pastor, kind of, or the assistant to my dad, Pastor Sproul, who I call him. He's not really my blood father, but he's who finished raising me. So I was just, in awe at the fact that he was such a leader, and I knew that he was very isolated. And so I knew that nobody had a chance with him anyway. None of the women had a chance with him. No one could put their finger on him or put their hand on him.
Right.
There was no backlash about him. There was no rumors going on about him.
Right.
I was very, very impressed. I was very impressed, and so I kept my stance. I didn't go after him, and I didn't, I wasn't forward with it.
You didn't pursue him.
No, I did not pursue him. But I did hear the Lord say.
What you heard the Lord say?
But I heard the Lord say one day when I wasn't even paying attention to him. He walked by me one day, and I was in pastor's office, and he came up to the office, and You know, he said something to me and I said something back. And when he turned around and walked away, I heard the Lord whisper in my ear and say, "That's your husband."
Wow.
And and it was like I had to look around in the room to see, what? I don't even like him like that. That's what I was saying to myself. I don't even like him like that. I just think he's all right. I think he's a man of God, but I'm not looking for that.
Right.
And so I didn't hear God say anything else, but in the back of my mind,
You know you
every
heard
time I
that.
saw him, I would be like,
Yeah, that look right there.
Okay, so can you pick up from there?
Oh yeah, I can pick up from there. I can ride that just a little bit. Because I don't know about all that stuff. She wasn't checking me out because, you know, she had, no, let me stop.
Bishop, I wasn't checking you out.
No,
Bishop, I wasn't checking you out.
no, we were friends.
Okay.
And really, I was a single parent raising my daughter
Okay, both of you were
17.
single parents at the
Yes.
time.
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
single parent. I was actually living in Parsonage there at the church.
Oh, at the church. Okay.
With Pastor Spoo at the time with the Allen Memorial Church of God. And for maybe 10 years, she would come to the house from Connecticut and me and my daughter would just be leaving.
Right.
Wow.
So we missed each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know, I mean, like, I'll be
That's-
leaving
that's a fact.
and that's a fact.
Yeah.
So, but we both were married separate at the time. It wasn't
Correct.
like we left our spouses to get
No,
together.
absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
just that we were single, was working in ministry. Because I was from New York, of course, from the Boogie Down Bronx.
She's
be
Boogie
saying,
Down.
you know, she'd be trying to put that South, even though by way of South Carolina. I did go to high school, Keenan High School in South Carolina, then went to Benedict College.
Okay.
So the South did play a major part, plus the military. So I was in the military, so I got a chance to travel. But meeting up with her was key because we was always in prayer together.
That's right.
She-
That's right.
And we were loyal to the work of the kingdom.
That's right.
You mean much like now?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Even
Go ahead.
now.
Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Same
We
thing.
was already working in ministry.
All right.
I had just left from, I guess, coming from Columbus, because I was here at Columbus over 25 years ago. I worked for who I think are two of the greatest bishops that ever served here and still serving, which was Bishop L.D. Skinner
Right.
and Bishop Ann Hartman.
Bishop Ann Hart.
You know, the great late Dr. Ann Hartman.
Yes.
So that's how
Everybody
we want.
knew her here.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, she was
everybody.
powerful.
Oh, she's just a
loved.
phenomenal
Yeah.
woman, and that the fact that what she did here for the city of
For this-
Columbus, not only from a spiritual perspective, but even in government.
Superior Court
Yeah,
clerk.
Superior Court clerk. This woman of excellence. Known her for the last 25 years, I think 24, something like that. I can't remember. But one of the great things that we learned is that the fact that God sent us back here
Yes.
after we met, but we was faithful in kingdom work, and we were friends. We had a chance to conversate. Outside the church as well as in the church, and
In
then
the
we didn't
church,
put
okay.
everybody in our business
Right.
either.
We were very
Right.
private.
You know, very private. A lot of times when you're high profile, so to speak, or in the leadership of church, it's not always good that folk know your business.
No, it's not.
You know, because they don't understand your process.
Correct.
And they'll judge your process before even knowing facts. So we were friends for a long time before we were able to do that. So we wind up through the process of Ann Hartman coming back here. She put a word out and said, "Come on back, son, need you." So we
So
came
that's
back.
how you ended up back in the city. So talk to me about Stop the Bleeding.
Well, Stop the Bleeding, it was birthed in 2012.
All right.
And it was birthed out of a very complicated female issue that I had. And was getting ready to go through the beginning stages of menopause. And so I bled for 3 months straight. I mean, profusely. Bleeding where I couldn't even leave my house.
After doctors.
So
For-
somewhat
Yes.
like the
Yeah,
For sure.
like the woman with the issue
of blood. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
give me the short of that. And so, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's very powerful. So
Yeah.
there was like a a live, modern
Absolutely.
woman.
I mean, and this is, I'm being gory right now, but and drastic, but there were clots. There were clots. It was just so devastating for me, and even for my family, because my family went through it with me as well.
Right,
You know,
right.
there weren't enough sanitary napkins that I could buy because it was just so
Profuse
costly.
bleeding. Yes.
It was a very costly process. So it was
just like the Bible story, it
absolutely
cost you
it cost me.
your
I
health
know what it is.
and finances.
I know what that is.
Okay, so then tell me, what did God birth in you?
Well, through Stop the Bleeding Ministries, after we found out what the problem was,
Okay.
we found it. We got a remedy for it, and so there was no bleeding anymore. So through
Thank God.
through that, the Lord began to talk to me about the ministry, Stop the Bleeding. And I woke up out of sleep one night, and I heard him, and it was like he was in my bedroom, and he was in my bedroom, but it was like a loud voice that was in my bedroom, and I jumped up, and I thought it was my husband screaming, or one of the kids screaming, and I heard it really loud, "Stop the bleeding!" Like somebody was upset. Like it wasn't a small, still voice. It was like rivers, and that's what Genesis talks about. When God is speaking, it sounds like rivers of rushing water that's just flowing, and that's what I heard. Stop the bleeding. And so I knew that was God telling me that this was going to be a ministry.
This is
and
ministry.
then he began to tell me that I want you to do conferences. I want you to do retreats. I want you to do women's forums. I want you to do events. I want you to go throughout the nation. This will be a global ministry that will start in New York. New York will be its starting place, but it will be a global ministry that will travel the 50 states, that will go about bringing hope to women, men, and children that have devastating issues that are bleeding.
My God.
And changing the trajectory of their life by what they hear.
Yes.
Because even though you may have initially started with women affect the husbands
Absolutely.
and the children.
Absolutely.
Everything that happens with us happens to them.
You better believe that.
Yes.
And with them.
That's right.
And so you can never just single out, I'm only going to minister to this group of people.
That's right.
Everybody touches everybody.
Everybody
Go ahead.
touches everybody. And it's just been it's been such an outpour that it evolved from ministry, church events, to now we are aiding to human and sex trafficking.
That's what I was about to go into, because I know you've been working.
Yes.
It would take the city here and there with
Absolutely.
Yes,
the
with
human sex
Jonathan
trafficking.
doing an
with
excellent
Jonathan.
job.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
Jonathan's
my
doing
goodness.
wonderful
Okay,
job.
so if we could sum this all up, what is your goal based on ministry for this entire ministry of Stop the Bleeding? What is the goal?
My goal is biblically based.
All right.
And I want to do the same thing that the woman with the issue of blood did, which was to encourage a woman for every catastrophic situation, every hard situation, every crisis that you have ever experienced, whether it be homosexuality, whether it be divorce, whether it be mental illness, whether it be affliction. I don't care what your issue is. My goal is to ignite the faith in a woman or man,
My God.
so that you will know that there'll be something that will drive you out of your situation, which will change the trajectory of your life, which will incur a paradigm shift.
Yes.
Because that's what Jesus came for,
That's
so
right.
that we could now be changed.
That's right.
Yes.
So that we could now have eternal life.
That's right.
And in this life that we walk, there is crisis.
Absolutely.
There are things that really tear us up on the inside, and sometimes physically.
That's right.
Yes.
Physically, mentally, financially, whatever the cause may be. Stop the bleeding.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very important that, because blood affects everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And any time that when blood don't have its normal cycle,
It's flow.
and there's an opening, then it leaks out. And if you don't stop it, you die.
You immediately die.
Exactly. If you don't have a tourniquet on it, or you don't get proper treatment for it. And it's the same thing with issues in life. You will die if the bleeding don't stop. Even in basketball terminology, they use it when a team is being slaughtered. They say, well, we got to stop the bleeding. We got to do something about it. See, we relate to it in many different forms.
Absolutely.
That it takes on. And what we must realize is that as long as we're on earth and we're in this human body, we're going to have to deal with life.
Absolutely.
See, some stuff is just life.
It's just life.
It's just life that we deal with. It comes with being who we are. And when, but if you don't have experience, we experienced this. She experienced it, and it's so. I was telling her this the other day. It's so ironic that the first message that she actually did was the women with the issue of blood.
Wow.
Years ago.
Years ago.
What was that?
Excuse me. I don't know. It had to be about something like that.
So was that before or after your
about 50,
bleeding
about 15
experience?
years. It was before.
That was before.
The very first message.
I wasn't even a minister. I just was a
minister in training,
person who
basically.
was training to go into ministry.
Yeah,
No.
and worked out. So God exposed that. So the main thing about issues, if you don't find an answer,
Right.
you'll keep bleeding.
Right.
right.
Right. And so it's important that. And let's just say Jesus is the answer. Can we say that?
Is.
Oh, absolutely.
Jesus is the answer.
Absolutely.
So you've got 2 minutes.
Okay.
And you can take a minute each, or however you want to do it. I want you to look right at the camera, and I want you to just minister to the people of God.
Go ahead, Bishop. Go.
Well, let me tell you what I'm hearing right now, and we talked about it a little earlier this morning. I want to leave a scripture with you, 1 Corinthians 2, and I want to say with verse 8. It says, "Which none of these of the prince of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory." I want to tell you that the devil don't know everything. And everything that you're dealing with, God has an answer for you. You need to know that if God allowed the enemy to come at you in such a way that he tried to stop everything in your life, it was only because God was using him to propel you to your destiny. He didn't know everything. And I want you to know that whatever's going on in your life, there's a God that is concerned about you. Amen. And today is the day that the bleeding stopped. I don't blame the situation. Matter of fact, thank God for the situation. Because the very thing that the enemy thought he was doing, I told them on this morning that God was having an executive meeting and the devil was not invited. He don't know everything, but God knows everything, and all these things are working together for your good. It's just a matter of time. If you just keep going forward, don't blame the situation. It happened.
Right.
Everything that happened to you, it happened. But let me tell you, it had purpose and destiny connect to it. The devil don't know everything, but I know somebody who do.
Amen. Amen.
God knows everything, and he will stop your bleeding. All you got to do is reach out and touch him.
Amen. Thank God for Stop the Bleeding. Thank God for the Porterfields and being relocated to this region to help us.
Relocated.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Everything that we go through it's purposeful.
Yes,
and
for sure.
Even our suffering.
That's right.
Whew.
Even though it doesn't feel good, it's a part of the process.
Yes.
And so if you need them, they're available.
Sure.
They're available.
We
Yes,
are.
they're ready and waiting to minister to you and with you. Oh my goodness. You've already been praying for people.
Glory to God.
Oh, yes.
They're on Facebook Live just about every other morning praying for you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today to share about stopping the bleeding.
Yes.
It's an important ministry. Each of us has one. Each of us has a ministry. So I encourage you, just as they have endeavored to find out their purpose, to move forward in the purpose, to use the things that hurt you, to push you forward
to your destiny. That's right.
In your ministry.
That's it.
Thank you so much for tuning in again to another Signatures with Maria. And if you're interested and you have a testimony or you have something as powerful as they do that you'd like to talk about, just make sure you email me, signaturesmaria@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time.